So today we're going to dive into one of the most famous poems, ever, in the English language. It's Thomas Gray's Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard. And really, it's this incredible look at life, death, and, what we leave behind. But the whole thing, the entire poem, really boils down to one single powerful idea.
This right here, this is the line that's at the absolute core of the whole poem. It's so direct, so simple, but for centuries, it has just stuck with people. It's completely unforgettable. Okay, so you have to wonder, right? Why has this one line from a poem written way back in the 18th century had such a hold on people for so long? What's the secret sauce? Well, that's what we're here to do. Let's break down the layers of this masterpiece and see why it still hits home today, maybe now more than ever.
To really get this poem, you first have to get the vibe, the world he's creating. Gray doesn't just start with a big idea. He starts with a feeling, an atmosphere. So let's step right into the scene he's painting for us.
And here it is, the famous opening line. You can almost hear it, right? That slow, heavy bell, dong, dong, signaling the day is done. This isn't just about telling you the time, it's about setting a mood. It's a signal to everyone that it's time to get quiet, to reflect, as everything else just fades away.
And that's because this poem is, by definition, an elegy. An elegy is basically a poem for serious reflection, usually about someone who's passed away. But what's so interesting here is that Gray isn't just mourning one person. No, he's thinking bigger. He's meditating on the whole idea of life and loss itself.
And check this out. Gray is super specific about the setting. We're in a real place, Stoke Poges Churchyard in England. This was personal for him. It's actually where his own mother was buried. So that evening time, it's obviously a symbol for the end of life. But the feeling he creates, it's not scary, right? It's not horror. It's this calm, reflective, almost gentle sadness. And by doing that, he lets us, the reader, think about death without freaking out.
So, standing there in that quiet churchyard, the poet's mind starts to wander. And he's not thinking about kings or famous heroes. Nope, he's thinking about the people buried right there, under his feet, the everyday, ordinary villagers that history has completely forgotten.
Now you have to understand, for his time, this was a huge deal. We're talking about an era with super strict social classes, and poetry was basically all about celebrating the rich and famous. So for Gray, who was kind of a shy, scholarly type himself, to focus on these simple, hardworking folks, it was revolutionary. He's saying their lives mattered, that they had dignity, even if no history book ever mentioned their name.
And then he throws down this gauntlet, a direct challenge to the powerful people of the world. He basically turns ambition into a person and tells it, hey, don't you dare look down on the hard, useful work these people did. He's making a powerful argument that their lives had a kind of value that you just can't measure with fame or money.
This whole idea, it leads right into the poem's biggest, most universal message. And it's one we all know deep down. In the end, we are all exactly the same.
So think about it like this. On one side, you've got the paths of glory. That's your kings, your big trophies, your fancy titles, all the stuff the powerful people chase. And on the other side, you've got the useful toil of the villagers. Two totally different lives, right? But here's Gray's big point. It doesn't matter which path you take. They both end up in the exact same spot.
Yeah, the message is crystal clear, isn't it? Death is the great equalizer. It doesn't care how rich you are or how famous you are, you can't buy your way out of it. It's a really humbling thought, and it's something that connects every single one of us.
But Gray isn't done yet. Oh no. He then asks this question that is just heartbreaking and so deep. He looks at these graves and wonders, what incredible talent, what genius might be buried right here, completely lost to the world.
This is the big what if of the whole poem. What Gray's getting at is that being great isn't just about having talent. It's about having the chance to use it. If you don't have money or an education or the right connections, just think about it. How many brilliant people have lived and died without anyone ever knowing their name?
He starts to imagine who these people could have been. What if, he thinks, there's a mute, inglorious Milton buried here? Someone with all the poetic genius of John Milton, the guy who wrote Paradise Lost, but who never got the chance to write a single word because of his circumstances.
What about a village Cromwell? A natural-born leader with the same powerful spirit as Oliver Cromwell, who once ran England, but his leadership never got to go beyond his tiny little village. Or maybe, just maybe,
A local hero like Hampden, who stood up to a king, but his courage was never seen on the big stage. It's a gut-wrenching thought. All that human potential just gone, lost because of poverty or bad luck.
And then, after all these big, sweeping ideas about humanity, the poem just pivots. It becomes incredibly personal. The speaker starts to think about his own death and what people might say about him when he's buried in this same churchyard.
So he imagines some old farmer remembering him, not as some famous poet, but as this quiet, kind of lonely guy. The farmer would say, "Oh yeah, I remember him. He'd walk alone every morning in the mist. You'd see him just sitting by the brook, reading or maybe writing something. He seemed nice, a little sad maybe. See? It's not a picture of a celebrity. It's a sketch of a humble, thoughtful person."
And that leads into his own self-written epitaph. And listen to how it starts. Here rests his head upon the lap of earth, a youth to fortune and to fame unknown. Did you catch that? Unknown to fortune and to fame. He's putting himself right there with the humble villagers he's been thinking about this whole time, not with the rich and powerful.
So when it comes down to his own final words, what does he ask for? Not trophies, not fame, not money. He asks for what pretty much all of us hope for in the end. Just some peace and to be accepted for who we were. It shows you what he really valued. Being a good person, being humble, not chasing after worldly success.
Okay, so let's zoom out for the big finish. Why are we still talking about this poem nearly 300 years after it was written? What is it about this elegy that gives it such incredible staying power?
Well, there are a few big reasons. For one, it's kind of a bridge between two huge moments in literature. It's got the formal, structured feel of one era, but it's also packed with the emotion and love of nature that would define the next one. Also, like we said, celebrating the common person was absolutely groundbreaking back then. But the biggest reason? The main themes, death, and the fact that we're all equal in the end, those are things we all think about no matter when or where we live. They're totally timeless.
And that's really the thought I want to leave you with. Think about our world today, right? A world that's just obsessed with fame, with ambition, with getting ahead. What can we learn from a quiet, old poem that tells us to slow down and remember that every path, whether it's full of glory or just simple hard work, leads to the exact same quiet place? It's a powerful reminder, and maybe one we need now more than ever.